Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from PJ Media. This is dated August 5th, and it says, Bombshell declassified FBI document blows up everything we ever heard about Russiagate. And, gee, if you didn't know that Russiagate was a bunch of BS, well, it still is a bunch of BS, and it always was a bunch of BS. So, into the article, it says, for years, Democrats and their media allies swore up and down that the FBI's investigation of Donald Trump was a serious national security investigation, launched only because of grave concerns about Russian collusion. Newly declassified FBI records tell a different story. Because of course they were, because they were always going to. It says it turns out that the Bureau formally opened its full counterintelligence investigation into Trump back in 2017, and using his firing of FBI Director James Comey as the justification. The president exercised his constitutional authority to fire an FBI director, and the FBI responded by opening a counterintelligence investigation into him. Seems a little, oh, you just let me know what you think the word is there. It says the key document is a declassified FBI, quote, opening electronic communication, end quote, dated May 16th, 2017, exactly 1 week after Trump fired Comey on May 9th. It authorized a full investigation into the sitting president of the United States under the codename Oxford, comma, and notice how they spelled Oxford. That's actually a purposeful spelling mistake, and they actually spelled comma with a 0 instead of an O. Ask yourselves why they purposely spelled those things wrong. Okay, so of course the article then just says, no, that's not a typo. It says, don't ask me why it's spelled that way. Yeah, because they're trying to avoid being caught, like in search engines and shit. Like in the FBI, like someone searches for regular Oxford with an O, O-X-F-O-R-D, and a comma with a regular O and not a 0. People are going to be able to find it. You purposely misspell it. No one's going to be spelling things that way, or probably even think to spell things that way. So there's an embedded tweet from John Solomon here, who's a reporter everybody should be following. The guy's broken a lot of major stories, but we're going to continue on here because the article is basically going to say what his tweet says, but in a much longer way. It says the FBI is opening a full investigation based on an articulable factual basis that reasonably indicates that President Donald J. Trump may be or has been, wittingly or unwittingly, involved in activities for or on behalf of the government of the Russian Federation which may constitute violations of federal criminal law or threats to the national security of the United States, the document reads. The stated goal was to determine if President Trump is or was directed by, controlled by, and or coordinated activities with the Russian Federation in a matter constituting a threat to the national security of the United States and or a violation of federal criminal statutes. The same document reveals that the investigators were also examining Trump for possible obstruction of justice. So what was the articulable factual basis for treating a duly elected president as a suspected Russian asset? Trump's conversations with Comey. The document claims Trump sought Comey's personal loyalty and asked Comey to publicize the fact that the president was not the subject of an FBI investigation. It also states that Trump asked Comey to do what he could to resolve the investigations. It says that's it. That's the smoking gun. The president asked the FBI, or asked why the FBI wouldn't publicly admit what it privately told him, that he wasn't under investigation, and the Bureau retreated the question as evidence of a Kremlin conspiracy. Yeah, it seems like a huge jump. Like, so, why don't you guys just go public with that information? They're going, oh, he's a Russian agent. It's like, why would he want you to make it public then? So it says the document also argues that Trump's shifting explanations for firing Comey can be reasonably read to imply that the FBI's counterintelligence investigation was a factor in President Donald Trump's decision to terminate Comey. In other words, the FBI took a routine personnel decision, one Trump had every legal right to make, and spun it into proof that he was doing the bidding of Moscow. The memo showed that both acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, who by the way is a CNN analyst now, and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein were advised that the probe had been launched. The FBI's leadership was furious that Trump fired its director, as every president has a right to do. They can all do that. So it retaliated by branding him a potential Russian agent. Naturally, Democrats ate all that up. Oh yes, every time I think about this, I think about Rachel Maddow doing in the compilation of the Russia, which you can very easily find on YouTube. I basically explain this, and of course she was completely wrong. It says the Bureau didn't open the probe because of collusion evidence. There wasn't any. You know that? I know that. Even Democrats know it, but they pretend not to. Yet, we got years of breathless wall-to-wall coverage, endless Democrat fundraising emails, and a cloud over an entire presidency, all built on a document that cited a personnel decision as its foundation. Russiagate hobbled Trump's first term, poisoned public trust, and gave the left its favorite conspiracy theory. Now we have the receipts showing how it started, and it's just as bogus as anyone could have expected. Every official who signed off on this disgrace owes the American people an explanation, which we are absolutely never going to get, because they're all assholes. And the country owes Trump something it will probably never get from the Democratic Party or the press, an apology. Correct, that's never going to happen. I mean, I wouldn't expect that at all. But I would go, and this article's linked below, I'd go to John Solomon's tweet here, and he's got the documents. You can actually click on and download them if you wanted to, so just so you know. So imagine that, like, Donald Trump just tells a guy his usual thing of, you're fired, and the guy, and the whole organization goes, we need to open an investigation into you and claim that you work for, our biggest geopolitical rival, or at least our perceived one is Russia. I'd still say it's China, but whatever. So, did you guys hear about this? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.